Gabby Petito has been in the news lately, largely because of the new Netflix special called American Murder, Gabby Petito, of which I was executive producer. If you have followed Gabby's tragic story, you know we spoke with her family during the nationwide search for her, and then in the aftermath of the revelation that her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, had killed her and then taken his own life. Tonight, on Dr. Phil Primetime, we're doing something a little different. We're sharing a bonus episode of my true crime podcast, Mystery and Murder Analysis by Dr. Phil. It was on that podcast that I spoke with Ryan Krall, a park ranger with the U.S. Park Services. He was on duty and present during the August 12, 2021 traffic stop involving police and Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie in Moab, Utah. Two Moab City police officers, Officer Eric Pratt and Officer Daniel Robbins, responded to a call of a man hitting a woman. Ryan and his supervisor, Melissa Hall, were also on the scene. The officers separated the couple for the night and did not cite either Petito nor Laundrie for domestic violence, despite noting visible injuries suggesting potential abuse. An independent investigation has since found that the officers made several, quote, unintentional mistakes, close quotes, during the encounter. None of them on the scene, on the side of the road that day, have ever spoken out in an interview. Ryan was told not to speak out, but made up his own mind to do so. Here is that exclusive interview between myself and Park Ranger Ryan Krall. Ryan, thank you for being willing to do this. I'm really anxious to hear what you have to say about this. There was highly publicized body cam footage that was released showing the encounter between Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie, and the two Moab police officers. And it was initiated by a third party, correct?
Yeah, as I recall, it was a random person on the street who saw the encounter in downtown Moab,
right?
And they called.
And how did you guys get called and brought into it?
Well, we were dispatched out of the same dispatch center, which is Grand County Sheriff's Office, and we use the same radio channels so we can hear the same traffic, and it sounded like a pretty serious call, so we took note of that. We were in the park doing our own thing, and then that call came on the radio, so we were keeping our ears open, see if we could help or if it was going to come our way or we'd be involved at all. And we were, because the radio traffic kept updating, and the Brian Laundrie drove north, and then they actually pulled into the park. So we were right there. We decided to show up and assist Moab police.
And you had said you expected something different because this is often, domestics are messy, as you say, and they're often the most dangerous situation officers can get into. And this typically involves maybe alcohol and different elements, and it was different than what you found when you actually got there, correct?
Correct, yeah. I seem to recall after the different radio transmissions, after the reporting party talking to the dispatcher, which we were not privy to that. We weren't on the phone with them. We just heard what the dispatcher put out over the radio waves. So what I had heard or recall was domestic in progress, driving north, possible DUI, intoxication. So thought it was a drunk guy hitting a girl. So I came in with that bias, ready to respond appropriately.
Well, I kind of want to do a ride along with you if we can. So take us through it. When you pull up on the scene, what do you see?
When I got there and pulled in, the traffic stop had already been initiated. and I was coming from head on because I was at the visitor center. So I'm driving down to the scene. They're already pulled over. They're actually blocking the access road. So I had to do like a 6-point turn in my Ford truck, which was obnoxious. And then I pull in, and at this point, I believe Gabby's already out of the vehicle. She's being talked to by the police officer. And then as I arrive, the second Millhead police officer gets there too. So I just showed up to help how I could.
Were you alone, or was there someone else in the truck with you?
I was alone. I had a ride along that day, but we parted ways. And when this call came in the radio, I ran out the door to assist, and I did not bring that ride along with me. So I was by myself.
Okay. And when you got there, were you instructed to stay with Brian? And were you told to get the story from him, or just kind of babysit him, hold him at bay while other things were going on?
I'm not sure if I was instructed to do so, but I came in to be like a cover officer and just assist. So I trust that the police are doing their thing, talking to her. I am now watching him. So there's two suspects at the time. There's 3 police officers. We need to find out what's going on. So they instruct Brian to come out of the vehicle, and then I'm kind of babysitting him, watching him. And I probably should have just remained silent, but I wanted to find out what was going on, see if I could help. And I started asking him questions.
All right. And when did your supervisor arrive on the scene, Melissa Hull?
She got there a couple minutes later. I'm not sure when, but I think I had already been talking to Brian roadside. I think he'd already sat down on the curb. I'd already started asking investigative questions, and then I recall my boss showing up later on, maybe 5 minutes or so.
What did Brian tell you had occurred between he and Gabby leading up to them being pulled over by the police?
He mentioned a squabble or a duel, and I asked him to describe the duel in detail, because again, the call that came on the radio was guy hitting girl, possibly drunk. We quickly determined that he doesn't drink. No one was drinking. It was wrong information, because when they hit the curb, we later determined that they were fighting while he was driving. And I think we found out that Gabby had grabbed the wheel while he was driving, and that's why he hit the curb. And that's why the radio traffic was like, oh, they just hit the curb. So we're like, oh, this is reasonable to believe, or back up the theory that maybe it's a drunk driving incident, which it wasn't. But
and we have a clip of that from your body cam.
Just to calm down for a second. And she wanted the keys to the car and everything. So
Sure.
that's when it turned into a little bit of a duel. And then
I
was loud and verbal.
Can you describe the duel? Because I'm going to say this. It looks like you're bleeding on the right side of your face, by your eye, right eye, in several spots. And then down here.
The guy got a baby wipe for her and me. And
So you got scratches here, here.
I was just trying to keep this hand here, pushing her away, and she had her cell phone and her rings and everything. So,
She struck you.
yeah, but I'm not trying to push that. I'm not claiming to be the victim. It was a squabble, and I'm sorry if we got
No, it sounds like a physical altercation between you and your fiance. So it's a domestic dispute. The police are here. We're here figuring it out. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I think I'll keep fine too.
Have you ever, you guys have done this before? Squabbled in public like this?
Small squabbles.
Touched each other physically like this?
Small squabbles, never in public. It's gotten slightly physical before, but it's not like anyone's got a broken bone or anything. I just have some. It'll heal. If you're an outdoorsy, I'm sure you're an outdoorsy guy. You got plenty of scars.
Sure.
Sorry. And I love her so much, so it's not.
How long you guys been engaged?
About, it's funny to say, probably a year now. I asked her to marry me at Amicola Falls in Georgia, right at the start of the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you know that.
Okay. So did you talk to anything? Did he say anything else? Because we just looked at a clip. Did he talk about his relationship or how their trip was going?
I did ask some more questions about their trip, their itinerary, where they were going, what their plan was. He said fiance and engaged for a year, so I took that to be significant. You know, I think maybe would have treated it differently if they had like just met and then they're hitting each other on the street. Like, it's like, okay, you guys obviously you know each other well. She agreed to marry you. I figured this was uncommon, and I figured he said they've never argued like that before. So yeah, I don't know if it was just without hindsight 2020, seeing what happened. Maybe it's just they're having a really bad day and got out of hand, and you know it's stressful to be pulled over by the police, and we took it very seriously. And even so, I'm seeing the evidence in front of me, trying to be reasonable. The way he said he kind of pushed her away, despite him getting hit. He said he was hit by a phone, scratched. He had rings on his. She had rings on her fingers. That is what he attributed the scratch marks to. So it seemed reasonable. It didn't feel like he was lying to me. And then the more we, tried to build rapport with the guy to get him to open up and tell me what's going on. And then ideally I would have asked Gabby the same questions, but I never actually talked to her because it wasn't really my place or my traffic stop.
Right. You could see her though, correct?
The closest I got to her was probably 10 yards away. I saw her talking to the police. I saw her go to the back of the car. And at the very end, I saw her when she got back in the van to drive away. And I remember as she walked past, Brian was looking at her over his shoulder. So I was trying to distract him from communicating with her. So I started rambling on about snakes or parks I worked at or random wildlife nonsense to distract him. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to talk to Gabby. I never said a word to her. Got to interview her.
Yeah. Did you see her crying, and could you tell if she had damage to her face? Did the system fail Gabby Petito? Did you fail Gabby Petito? Did you see her crying, and could you tell if she had damage to her face?
I did not, and I didn't see any marks on her. I didn't get close enough. Looking at some of the body camera footage in retrospect and the documentary, I guess I can see it now, but at the time I wasn't aware of that. When the news broke of the photo she took with the big red mark on her face came out, that was pretty shocking to me because I feel like we would have noticed that. But sometimes, all the time, bruises, they don't appear instantly. There needs to be some time. And yeah, I wish we would have known.
Are you saying you would have noticed that? Are you suggesting that that wasn't there at the time?
I actually couldn't say because again, I never got close enough to see. So I'm sorry. I don't think it'd be fair to say that, but I don't know.
Well, you were saying that it would have been obvious at the time. Or are you suggesting that it got there later in some way, or it just hadn't manifested at the time?
I believe I was saying, with bruising, in my layperson, not expert opinion, the bruises don't come right away. Usually some time happens before they become visible. But I don't think we saw them. I don't know if they were there then. It could have happened later. I don't know.
Yeah. When Hull got there, did she interview Gabby?
After the fact, I realized she did because I've seen her body camera footage. At the time, though, I was kind of focused on Brian, and I know that my boss at the time was talking to the other police officers and spoke to Gabby. It makes sense, too, to have a female officer talk to a female suspect or victim. So, yeah, I believe that happened. I just wasn't really tuned in on it at the time. I just assumed we were all doing what we needed to do. trust in each other to do our jobs.
Could you overhear any of the conversation that the police or your supervisor had with Gabby? Did you overhear any of what they were talking about?
No, I didn't hear any of that. They were too far away, and I was preoccupied with Brian. And a couple times, I think you can see it on video, there were moments when the police were like talking about what they were going to do, like hashing things over. And then Brian would kind of tune out and look over at them and try to listen in. So I would just like distract him and break that up and like just keep rambling about my personal life or the Park Service, because to stop him from getting that information, you know, if he is the suspect, like maybe he's going to take some of that info and use it later, or I don't know. So not good to have him listening to the police deliberate, even though at the time I had not determined him to be the primary aggressor. But yeah, I was just trying to distract him.
I viewed some of the footage that you shared with us from your body cam, and it seems like most of your conversation with Brian was kind of casual conversation, talking about arrowheads, his guitar, rummaging around in the back of his van. Did anybody tell you to talk to him about things just to distract him instead of interrogating him?
No, that was just me, I guess, off the cuff rambling, trying to build rapport. Because I'm not great with uncomfortable silence. So rapport building is incredibly important, though, with suspects and victims, so they can trust you, open up to you. Yeah, you can make them feel comfortable. I believe at one point, too, towards the very end, I said, like, hey, I'm sorry if I'm intimidating you at all. Like, if you're scared, like, I'm just trying to help. It's not a direct quote, but I feel like I said something to the effect of, like, or at least I thought it, thinking if this was a girl who had just gotten, you know, beat up and injured, would I still be asking interrogative questions, as opposed to just being like supportive and like doing like psychological first aid and trying to, you know, help them through this super traumatic experience. Of course, this situation, it's all out the window because we know how it ended. But I don't know, I was kind of going back and forth between looking for info, asking questions, doing my best to calm him down and treat him with dignity and respect as a, you know, guy who was bleeding and got hit.
Did you find his story believable?
It seemed very reasonable. The evidence that I saw seemed to be backed up with what I saw and what he told me. And I know there's this video of me going like this, like simulating what looked like the attack or like the disagreement, or I'm sorry, the duel that he described. He said like she was grabbing his face, so he was pushing her away like this. When I asked, like, did you strike her at all? Did you put your hands on her? He's like, no, I just pushed her away. Well, she was, I think he said she started swinging. So it added up. It was reasonable to believe. And then when one of the police officers came back in the scene, I relayed like what he had told me with him present. Like, this is what he told me. And I didn't hear what Gabby had told them from her or from the police. So I couldn't like match the stories up or compare and contrast them, but I trusted that they knew what they were doing. And yeah, I mean, I never met them before that day. So, but you gotta trust people in uniform.
Yeah, of course you hadn't met them before that day. We have a clip, another clip of this. Let's take a quick look at this.
So you pushed her and she hit you? It wasn't like a push, and she was already, I don't want to swinging, and I was
multiple hands.
A lot of angles, a lot of nails, a lot of things.
Yeah, you got 3 scratches on your neck. You've got one on the left side of your nose. got one on your face here, and you've got 4 that are bleeding over there.
Right.
So it looks like 2 hands coming at you.
Do you mind lifting up your right sleeve for me? I'm curious about that.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit in there. I suppose fingernails. But
Yeah,
I'm not complaining.
absolutely.
I'm not complaining about
Is it
fingernails.
bruised or tender or anything like
No,
that?
no, no. I'm fine.
These Moab officers, have you had much contact with them since this happened?
Sort of, a little bit. We don't work together much, but in trainings, overlapping. It's a very small town, and what I would have assumed at the time was a small agency assist, us backing each other up to do our jobs, turned into this huge, massive, tragic event. So with that, kind of bonded by that and try to reach out and be supportive and friendly. I'm still in contact with some of them.
Of course. Have you seen their body cam videos?
Yeah, I saw theirs. Theirs was released pretty quickly, but I watched all the videos on YouTube. It's been years and years.
I know 2020 hindsight gives you a different perspective, but in looking at them, did they make mistakes here? Would you have handled it differently?
I think they did a better job than I would have done on my own. I'm still not totally familiar with the exact statute that or what would happen that day. I enforce federal laws, so it's different. And when they were explaining to Brian what was happening and what was going to happen, like the next steps, that was the first time I heard that. And then I tried to just talk it over with Brian, like, so as I understand it, this is what's going to happen next, and here's the rules. I was unfamiliar with that whole process, but heard it on the spot, and it seemed reasonable, seemed like it made sense.
I hope you're enjoying this special airing of Mystery and Murder, Analysis by Dr. Phil. This is a weekly podcast where we pull back the curtain on headline-making cases and the perpetrators behind them. We strive to step into the darkest corners of the human mind. What compels certain humans to do the unthinkable? And how do these cases unfold? The truth is often more chilling than fiction. There's a new episode every week available on all podcast players and on YouTube. Tonight, we're featuring our exclusive interview with Park Ranger Ryan Krall with the U.S. Park Services. He was on duty and present during the fateful traffic stop involving police and Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie in Moab, Utah. He is the first person to come forward to speak out about that day. Here's more of our exclusive interview. I'm one of the executive producers of the documentary, and you probably know that I worked very closely with Gabby's family during the time that she was missing. Before she was discovered, that I've worked closely with them. And so I know all of the family and have great empathy for them. And the family, and I think the public in general, have been very critical of the way law enforcement handled this on the side of the road. And I get that everybody has the benefit of 2020 hindsight now, and they weren't on the side of the road, but they've been very critical. And the primary criticism seems to focus on it was kind of like maybe a good old boys club out there, that she, as often is the case with domestic violence victims, blamed herself and was saying it's my fault, and that the officers were just all kind of informally chit-chatting with Brian, just shooting the breeze with him. What do you say about that? That's what you were doing. You say you were doing it to distract him. The other officers have been criticized for doing the same thing. One of the officers was criticized for being chummy with him and saying his wife had anxiety. Looking back, how do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few videos and comments and about how we're just sitting there hanging out, chatting with him, laughing, yucking it up. I guess it could look like that, but it certainly didn't feel that way. Feel like we were trying to be super professional and empathize with everyone there on scene, both Gabby and Brian. And yeah, people are saying goofing around, hanging out, boys club, women are emotional, like that kind of nonsense. And yeah, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like you just said, as is the case often with domestic violence, women blame themselves. I believe there's some credibility to that, but also saw it as an admission of like, hey, the call was he's hitting you. Did you hit her? It's like, well, no. And she's like, no, I started it. I hit him first. So we saw like, okay, the reasonable facts are she's admitting that she hit him. So as much as we would have liked to have just took the bad guy to jail, arrested the drunk driver, that wasn't the evidence that we saw.
Well, you've all had training in domestic violence, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what training Utah Post has, but I'm certain they have to have training in it. I think it's one of the most common things that city police deal with is domestics.
And, oftentimes we know victims will try and defuse the situation for fear of retribution when the authorities leave, or even if the perpetrator goes to jail overnight or for a few days or whatever, then they have to deal with the wrath of whatever the consequences are when the abuser gets back home. So oftentimes they're like, no, it's okay. Listen, don't agitate the situation any further. It's my fault. We know that. That's Psych 101. You don't confront the abuser if you're the victim, and you don't do things to create bad consequences for the abuser that you're going to have to pay for later. So it's certainly not a shock that she was blaming herself and trying to say, no, it was me, not him. And of course, we have the benefit of 2020 hindsight now that we know he was, in fact, violent. We know, in fact, that he was dangerous. We know, in fact, he's a cold-blooded killer. But I think people are critical because they're saying that it wasn't handled with those fundamental core principles in mind. And I think that's why people are critical.
Yeah, that sounds like what I've read. It sounds like that could be totally, that echoes through what I've seen online and the videos made and the documentary. And yeah, I mean, I was there. I talked to him for an hour straight, and I certainly didn't see a cold-blooded killer. I'd say he wasn't at that moment, but I mean, a month later he did it. So, yeah, terrible.
What would you do differently? If you had it to do over again, what would you do differently? This is what her face looked like. This is clearly a distraught young woman. And he goes to a hotel where there's a shower and a bed and food, and she's left alone, presumably for the first time ever, in a strange desert in a van by herself, upset. That just seems so odd to me. If you had it to do over again, what would you do differently?
It could be partially, I mean, it could be all my fault. Like just the clip you just showed me with me talking to Officer Robbins, Brian's describing to him what happened. I could have remained silent and let him just talk, let Robbins ask him the questions, because he'd talked to Gabby and I hadn't. But instead I stepped in and I was like, it looks like this, and here's an injury. And I was trying to be helpful, but used to say, them trusting me on scene, a police officer they'd met before, didn't sway it into confirming that he was not the primary aggressor. And I don't know. If I could go back, man, it'd be a cop-out to say, wish I wouldn't have showed up, because I didn't have to, but I wanted to help. And wish I could have talked to her as well. I never got the chance to. It wasn't really my place to. I'm not sure I even had the right to, but would have liked to have talked to her and asked them both the same questions, looked for consistencies or inconsistencies in their story. Looking back too, I've looked into those lethality assessments. Those seem to make a lot of sense. And again, if it's just a sheet with some very important questions to ask, could have asked both of them, done a lethality assessment on both of them. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's a positive for police work now. It's a shame it had to come at the expense of these young people's lives. But yeah, there's no going back. So try to learn from it. See, we're still talking about it, and wish none of this had happened. But police are still reviewing and learning from this kind of case. I'll tell you what, at least in my agency, some experience I've had, pull people over with protective orders, and you usually never arrest because they're like, yeah, just advise them and let them go. It's like, person is in a car with their partner who they have a restraining order against. They're violating their restraining order. They should go to jail. And I've seen it dozens of times where the jail doesn't take them. There's no room. The prosecutors don't want to prosecute it. It's I don't know if it's just easier, but it's just kind of how it goes. It's not right. But since then, I've talked to some other rangers, and they're like, yeah, we don't mess with that anymore. We don't want to get a lawsuit or get somebody hurt. Because imagine, like, let's say, this isn't what happened, but let's say Brian and Gabby, there was a protective order, like, against each other. Like, let's say Gabby had filed for a restraining order against Brian, and they're still driving across the country, which you see quite a bit in police work. People just ignore these orders that are given by a judge. Would they have arrested then? I would think absolutely. But for here, there was none. It was just like, we don't fight like this. This is a one-time thing. We're stressed. 100-some degrees outside. Gabby just spent all morning cleaning the van. Brian got in with his sandy feet. And I know that was mentioned in the documentary. And that's the last thing I said to Brian, too. It was like, hey, wash your feet. And possibly, that's where they're like, oh, you're just chummy, joking along with the guy. And it's like, well, maybe. But if your fiance just spent all day cleaning your home/van, be respectful of the space you're in. I would be furious too if I had a partner who didn't have.
One of the things that I think I had a problem with, and a lot of people had a problem with, was we're in the middle of the desert here, as you say, 100+ degrees. This is somewhere they've never been before. Obviously, they're on a cross-country trip, and they were separated, which is a plus. But Brian was sent to a hotel paid for by a domestic violence shelter. So Gabby, a 22-year-old young woman, is left alone in the middle of the desert, clearly distraught, in a van at night. That seemed backwards to me. Do you often see 22-year-old females alone in a van in the desert at night? I mean, is that a good idea?
I think, with what you're saying, obviously, like,
I know you didn't make the decision. I'm just asking, what's the common practice?
I mean, out west, national parks, van life, bloggers, and just Moab in general, like, I feel like half the town are single women living in vans, honestly. So it's not the norm. And what you're saying, I imagine to most of the country, does sound pretty wild. Like, what do you thinking is going to happen? Like, street smarts, but also, I hear your point, and that makes sense. And not to go off topic, but there were 2 women in a van who were murdered in town, right near town, actually. And people actually thought that it was connected to Brian and Gabby's situation. So that's another example there of the point you're making. Yeah.
Well, this is what her face looked like. We know this, and so we know what she said, but we know what she's been through if we can see that picture. This is clearly a distraught young woman, and he goes to a hotel where there's a shower and a bed and food, and she's left alone, presumably for the first time ever, in a strange desert in a van by herself, upset. That just seems so odd to me.
Yep, that's the one I was mentioning. That was pretty terrible and shocking when it came out. I certainly didn't see that. I didn't get close enough to see her, and I don't know if the officer saw that or if it was there at the time. I really don't know. Yeah, terrible.
It just seems so odd to me that he goes to the comfort of a hotel. I'm not saying it was like some five-star hotel or anything, but she's in the back of a van alone, having get punched in the eye, as we can see, and he's in the comfort of a hotel. It just seemed like totally backwards to me. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 officers there, and nobody says, should we maybe put the more vulnerable party here in the comfort of a hotel and let him stay in the van? Or did maybe I'm being, I don't know, misogynistic and saying that? I don't know, forgive me if I am, but did anybody bring up the fact that this seems backwards?
Actually, Brian did. He was like, "Hey, I'll take the van." So the thing with the hotel, from my recollection, was that it was a logistical move based on the reality of being out west in the desert and separating them for the night. I explained this to Brian, and I don't know if it was redacted on my body camera footage, but I mentioned earlier trying to explain what I was just hearing for the first time of what was going to happen with them. So as I understood it at the time, there was a lawful order for them to separate. And I understood that there was going to be charges and a court date for Gabby. And they were legally not allowed like a temporary protective order. There was one in place, and they were not allowed to contact each other, because if they did, she would go straight to jail. So in order to facilitate them resolving this how they wanted to, which was like they want to get back on the road and do their thing, keep going. It's like, well, you legally can't be together tonight. They only have one van, so it's not like one can take the car and the RV. It's like there's one van, you have to be separated. And Brian suggested him on camera. He's like, I'll just go find a place to sleep. It's like, well, how are you going to get to the courthouse? Because he had to go to the courthouse to file a waiver to remove the protective order so he could legally be with Gabby and continue. And I
wasn't that all being done online because of COVID?
Yeah, and I don't know if he teared up when I told him this, but I was like, hey, yeah, I was like, you're lucky. She's trying to blog. You have internet. Like, you can do her court date online, but you can't be with her until you get this waiver signed. So it was, how is he going to get to the courthouse tomorrow when it opened up to sign the waiver and then legally be allowed to call, text, meet up with Gabby and carry on?
Couldn't he do that online because of COVID?
I think he had to get the waiver in person. I'm not totally sure, but I believe he had to walk there himself, get it in person, and get it signed. And then after that, it's like, all right, it's signed. You are now allowed to text, call, and meet up again. And then he was going to call her. She was going to get the van and go pick him up. And for honestly, like, it wasn't like, hey, buddy, here's your hotel room. You did it. It was like a convenience and logistical thing. It was like, how is he possibly going to get himself to the courthouse tomorrow? Because otherwise, they're not legally allowed to be with each other or talk to each other. And there's only one car between them. And is he just going to wander the desert for the next few weeks or leave her stranded? So that was what I understood to be happening at that time.
If Gabby's biological mother and father and step parents who love her as much as her biological parents do, and I know all 4 of them, if they're watching this, and I can promise you they are, what would you say to them right now? Welcome back to Dr. Phil Primetime. As we are readying our 2-hour anniversary special of our first year of Dr. Phil Primetime that airs Wednesday night, we're doing something a little different tonight. We are bringing you a bonus episode from my true crime podcast, Mystery and Murder, Analysis by Dr. Phil. It's available on all podcast players and on YouTube. But when you left the scene, Hulls had talked to Gabby and you had talked to Brian. Did you two compare notes?
I did not compare notes with Mel, and I should have definitely with all the officers involved. We debriefed and talked about it afterwards, and then, of course, when she was missing, it blew up. We were like, oh, shoot. And then I tried to, I reached out to the Tetons. I talked to a special agent. I was like, hey, I know these people. I just pulled them over a month ago. This is where they're headed, or what they told me they were headed. I have an hour's worth of interviewing him on the roadside. And they were like, I don't think we're that interested. And then like the next day it hit the news. And then they're like, oh shoot, okay. And then, manhunt, nationwide coverage. And unfortunately, she'd already, I believe, been murdered at that point. But
Yeah. But you and Hulse didn't discuss it after you drove away.
you can see at the very end of our cameras, left them on a little too long. We're like just talking like, oh, here we go. Like, that was crazy. It was the end of our shift. I was ready to leave. It seemed like we just assisted Moab police. We were just cover officers. Probably it was inappropriate of us to even say anything at all. But of course, Mel stepped in to talk to Gabby. I talked to Brian for an hour straight. Told him probably stuff I shouldn't have, but just trying to build rapport.
Did investigators reach out to you to discuss the traffic stop since you were present?
No, I just said, hey, here's my body camera footage. And then I wrote up a report describing what I saw. That was it. I remember, I think they were headed toward their end goal or the terminus of their trip, I think was like Washington or Oregon. So I told them that. And then, of course, they were like, okay, great. Don't talk to the media. I'm like, sure thing.
You're currently on administrative leave now. Did that spring from this case and how it was handled or not handled, or has that come from something else?
I think it comes from something else.
If Gabby's biological mother and father and step parents who love her as much as her biological parents do, and I know all four of them, if they're watching this, and I can promise you they are, what would you say to them right now?
I mean, I can't imagine. I would apologize. We did the best we could. Everyone on scene, we really did try our best. Nothing we say is going to take away from the loss of your firstborn child and, all of her siblings. It's terrible. The reason why we get into law enforcement is to, I imagine, prevent tragedies like this from happening. I don't know that we'll ever get over this. People are still learning from the case, learning from our mistakes, finding new mistakes that we weren't aware of at the time. I'm really sorry for your guys' loss. Wish there was more I could do. And ideally, I'd like to get the chance to get back and help the next person, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to with the situation I'm in. But terribly sorry to them. And I really apologize if this comes off as bad taste, but I feel terrible for the Laundrie family too. It's tragic all around, but absolutely Gabby's parents, her siblings, like, yeah, you guys have been through it, and they're now doing their best to increase accountability with police officers, and they're doing good work with the foundation, and I hope they keep doing that.
Well, I know you weren't primary on the scene, but I'll ask you this question as a representative of someone that was there. Did the system fail Gabby Petito? Did you fail Gabby Petito? Did the system fail Gabby Petito? Did you fail Gabby Petito?
Well, I certainly feel like a failure. It's a good question. I suppose. I mean, systems, they're designed to help. If not, I mean, what are they for if not that? So, and obviously she's not around anymore. So I suppose it did. You go to the police, that's a hard thing to do, and then just get ignored, etc. So yeah, you want police to be people that are trusted in the community. They're going to be there for you. And when, but it looks like more often than not, it's just like a cab, or if you're a police officer, you're terrible, or you can't trust them. And it's not how it's supposed to be. Try to be very open and trustworthy, and instill the trust with the public. So yeah, maybe we did, all of us, not just myself, but like the system failed.
If you could turn the clock back to that day and there's one thing you could do different, what would it be?
Well, it happened outside the park. I'm in proprietary jurisdiction in Utah. I don't know what I could have done legally, but I think I would have liked to have talked to her. And I never got the chance to. I would have just probably asked the same questions I asked Brian. I'm not sure what it would have solved. Maybe it would have solved nothing, but I don't know. I guess there's a lesson in that too. Like, I certainly did trust, and I still do trust small police officers. But maybe we could have communicated more. You can always improve, and I don't know.
Well, I appreciate your candor in responding to that, and I appreciate your candor in talking to me today. Really endeavored to give you a chance to speak openly and clearly here, and you've taken that opportunity, and I respect you for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
We hope you found this bonus episode of Mystery and Murder, Analysis by Dr. Phil, interesting, thought-provoking, and hopefully a cautionary tale. There's more to my exclusive interview with Ranger Ryan Krall. You can listen to the entire conversation on my true crime podcast, Mystery and Murder, Analysis by Dr. Phil, where we have a 3-part series entitled The Life, Death, and Legacy of Gabby Petito. I want to thank Ryan for sharing his experience with us. Mystery and Murder, Analysis by Dr. Phil is available on all podcast players and also on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.